It is I again, SDR, and I am here, and I am slightly groggy. I got up from a nap not too long ago. Made the choice between coming home and doing this podcast right away, or taking a nap and being maybe actually coherent during this podcast. And I forgot that it generally takes me a little while to become coherent after waking up. And so here I am, still incoherent, and you got to deal with me. So sorry. Suck it up, Buttercup. Um, yeah. I did not feel like pulling up a game, although I might go do that. I'm applying some Burt's Bees chapstick right now, so I think I sound kind of funny as I do that. Tingly! But, yeah. So this is probably only going to run about 30 minutes as I attempt to form some sort of coherent thought. I had a topic I actually do want to talk about, just because I think it's a very important thing to talk about, and then folks can link back to me later, use my audio clips, quote me on it, take me horribly out of context, and use it against me in the future. I don't know, whatever. And we'll see how far I get into that. Hopefully it doesn't take me longer than 30 minutes to talk about it, because, I mean, man, I can really get going when I get going. I'm realizing now I have no beverages to sip on. That's not great. I'm slightly parched. Anywho, so the topic of conversation I wanted to talk about today is dun, 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 writers, writing commissions, and fan fiction. I think. I don't know. I didn't have time to come up with a fancy topic for it, or fancy title for it. But basically, it boils down to we've had a lot of people talking about, can you even do a writing commission type commission sheet the way you see artists doing artist commission sheets? And I'm sitting here like, hell yeah, sure you can. And then I realized there's this huge stigma against paying for writing. There's a lot of fears attached with people asking to receive compensation for their writings, and it's kind of like, okay, here's what it boils down to. If anyone comes to you asking you to write something specific, if it's not something you're, moved by the muses to just put together onto paper and push out there for all the world to see, if it's something, someone else is asking you to do, hell yeah, they should pay for it. You're fulfilling their desires, not your own. Yes, they should, by all means, be expected to pay. Now, as far as how much you should charge, that's kind of, a trickier situation, because, like, a lot of people go off base writer rates. I want to say the lowest I have ever seen a professional writer making is a minimum of 5 cents a word, which for 1,500 words is that $45? Oh god, I've got to math now. Hold on a second, I'm pulling up a calculator. I want to say, yes, it's 15, oh, there it is. 0.5 times, I can't math when I'm only half awake, 1,500. Oh no, that's $75. Okay, so yeah, damn, I was so off. No, I was thinking 3 cents a word, because that's usually what I advise, like, fan fiction writers to do. But yeah, 5 cents a word is usually the minimum, so like a 1,500 word, or 1,500 word, whatever, would run about $75, and yes, that sounds like a whole hell of a lot, but that's when you're writing for someone else. You do have to keep in mind that's when you're writing for someone else, and they're also going to take that piece of writing and do things with it. Like, if you're writing it for a magazine, they're going to go print it in the magazine, and, they now have the rights to print it in their magazine. If you do that for a website, they're going to post it on the website. So you're not just writing it to fulfill their desire, you're writing it because, they want to go take it and use it for something. When you're writing for just like a person on the internet who's come up and said, hey, I really like it if you wrote, this, then, obviously they're probably not going to go print it in a magazine somewhere. You should probably be clear on what sort of rights you're giving them for it. And a lot of times you're going to post it somewhere under your own name in your own usage saying, hey, I wrote this for so-and-so. So, you know, you do have to have that caveat of you're not going to be making as much of as a professional. And, you know, I'm not saying that writing fan fiction isn't as good or as worthwhile as writing professional, you know, pieces. I'm using the differentiation between things that are being printed and things that you are just writing for, you know, whatever. I think you guys probably get the idea. Oh crap, I just totally realized I'm not even looking at chat. Is anyone talking to chat? Hey, hey. Am I still up? I see someone said I suddenly cut out. It looks like I'm still up on my end. Anywho, so I'm going off about that. What was I saying? Oh yes, so there's a differentiation between the fact that you're writing and it's not going to be taken by a company and printed somewhere. So your rates should not be quite as high as what you would see quoted for professional writers. However, that is not to say that you shouldn't charge anything at all. You're still fulfilling their desires. Conversely, for all you folks out there who are going, all they're doing is writing, there's no reason why I should have to pay them for that. I'm not planning on printing whatever they've written in a book somewhere, so I shouldn't have to pay for it. Look, dude, you're still asking them to write something that is not completely their idea. Giving them a writing prompt is different from coming up and saying, hey, okay, here's my favorite rare pair. I really want to see the two of them in some fluffy situation, and I want to see this happen, and then I want to see this happen, and then I want to see this happen, and it'd be really nice if this happened too. By all means, pay for it. Pay for it. You know, do you have any concept of how hard it is not only to envision someone else's idea in details, but then put it on the paper so it will, in turn, translate for a third person to be able to experience that. Or even if you don't give specific details, but if someone came up to me, I'm one of those writers that is really bizarre, and I can write about darn near anything. You give me a rare pair that I've never heard of in my life, I might have to do a little research to get to know this rare pair, but I'll write for them. But it takes me time to figure out the characterizations. It takes me time to get used to the people. It takes me time, especially if all you said was, I want to see this rare pair do something. And that's all I have to work with. Well, now I have to envision them doing something, make it entertaining, describe it in such a manner that, you enjoy reading it, and I enjoy writing it. I'll be fair, I'm not overjoyed by everything I've ever written. But, a fair number of things. However, I'm still putting work into it. I'm not just putting words on paper. That's not just what's happening here. There's a lot of thought process that you're not seeing going onto the paper. But that's why we wind up charging by the word. It's the only quantitative way to, make things work out. I can't really charge by the hour, because sometimes it takes me longer to write some things than it takes me to write other things. So, like, something that took me 2 weeks to write, and was only 3,000 words long, but then there's other days where, it takes me 3 days to write it, and it's 10,000 words long. So, I once cranked out 11,000 words in one day, because I was really insane, and it wasn't necessarily quality work. But, I was aiming for the word count. That was November 11th in 2011 for NaNoWriMo, and I just thought it'd be really, really coincidental if on 11/11/11 I wrote 11,000 words. But anyway, so don't look at writing as if it's this thing that just kind of pops out and has no effort behind it. If you're afraid of, approaching a writer and saying, hey, can you write me this, and then not liking what they're writing, here's the thing. You need to provide them as many details as to what you like, and as many details as to what you dislike as possible, so they don't put anything you dislike in what they've written. You also need to do some of your own homework, and this is for all you people out there who are asking writers to write things. read some of their other work. If you read their writing style and you don't care much for it, then you're probably not going to like what they write for you, regardless of how you tell them to write it. Because a writing style is very particular to a single writer. So don't go up to someone who tends to be very, very keen on writing big, elaborate fight scenes and just, writes very humorously and keeps things light and airy all the time. Don't go up to them and ask them to write you some big, massive angst piece, because it's not really their fault if you don't care for what they come up with, because it's, whatever the reason, you don't care for it. You asked for something that is outside of their area of expertise. That's probably the biggest thing, the biggest concern I've heard from writers who are thinking about taking commissions is, what if they don't like it and they don't want to pay, or they want their money back? First off, you should always get some sort of deposit up front. A lot of people go with half. You don't necessarily have to go with half, but, for example, if you're doing 3 cents a word for 1,500 words, so that'd be $45. Say you wanted a $10 deposit. After the first 500 words, shoot them an excerpt. Say, hey, what do you think of how it's coming along? If they're happy with it at that point, then by all means finish it off, ask for the money, and then give them the finished piece. If they're not happy with it, then you can tweak it to, whatever's wrong. But you should always get some money up front, because it's way too... And don't give them the finished written piece in its entirety until you are done, or until they've given you the money. They are done paying for it. Because people are terrible about getting it and going, yeah, no, never mind. Because now they've read it, and there's no reason for them to pay. And not everyone has a sense of ethics, right and wrong, where they're going to understand you just spend a lot of time working on it, so, they should still pay. If they get the finished piece, and you've taken, you've made sure it met what they requested, it checks all the boxes that they gave you. If you gave them a preview, they were okay with the preview. They paid you the money, you give them the piece, and now they're saying, I don't like this. You can offer to maybe, ask for, is there one specific portion that you had wanted to see go differently? Like, if they hadn't given you an ending, they were kind of vague about how they wanted to end, and you ended it in some weird manner, maybe give them one alternate ending that isn't too elaborate. But other than that, I definitely would not refund them all of their money just because they read the piece and go, you know what, I don't like this after all. It met what they asked for. You gave them X number of words. Call it a day. I understand artists run into that a lot too. Like, they'll have their piece, they'll show sketches of the piece as they go along, they'll obtain money. Hello, VB! They'll obtain money as they go along, and then they give the finished piece over, and the guy's like, yeah, no, I don't like this, I'm not paying you. But they've already given the finished piece over. What do you do? If you've already given the writing over, what do you do? I mean... And, as I mentioned earlier, you want to make sure you're really, really clear on what it is exactly that they're buying. If they're buying, just you spending the time writing for it, versus if they're buying, they want to be able to use this elsewhere, well, you have to make sure that, they're going to credit you properly. Do you want them crediting you with your real name? I mean, are you planning on doing this as an official, profession? Whatever you wrote, do you want your real name attached to it? That sort of thing. If you've written something for someone, and they take it and they post it elsewhere, and you've not talked to them about that, but you're not comfortable with where they're posting it, approach them, tell them, hey, look, we didn't agree upon this, I'd like it if you take this down. And if they attempt to argue that, oh no, I paid you for it, I can do whatever I want with it, nah, you still maintain rights to that written piece. If there was no discussion and agreement for them to take it and post it somewhere, then PR Wolf Lord, you're trying to distract me now. That's not fair. But yeah, if there was no discussion as to what they were going to be doing with it, they can't just presume to go do whatever they want. That is not how writing works. It's just like that's not how art works. Unless you specifically told them it is okay to do this, you are still well within your rights. If they're posting it somewhere to approach, and that you want it taken down, and they're not taking it down, to approach the site and say, hey, this is my intellectual property, I'd like to have it taken down, please. And no amount of them complaining, oh, I paid for it, is going to grant them the rights to do that. Oh, just me ranting about writing commissions and that sort of thing. Not really anything exciting. I think all forms of art should be compensated for. The people out there who think that it is easy to draw or write or sing or act or any of these other things have obviously never really tried it themselves. I'm gonna be borderline rude and say that anyone who says these things are easy has never attempted to do it themselves. Granted, there are some folks out there who it comes naturally to. That still doesn't make it easy. And draw well, Corbel. There you go. I draw all the time. It's not great. But because I draw all the time, it's better than average. And I also understand that it's not easy to do it well. It's not, you know, even some of the abstract stuff you see out there, there's a lot of thought that goes into it. I'm constantly having a discussion with a friend of mine about, you know, some things that they'll look at and be like, how is that art? And I'll be, well, okay, you have to understand when you're looking at it, if you're looking at a piece of art and your instinctive thought process is to automatically go into questioning it, well then you've automatically been affected by the art. So in that sense, it's already art. But, yeah, I'm about to get off on some really weird tangents here. Let's talk about something else. What else do I want to talk about? Oh gods, I got Far Cry 5. I got Far Cry 5, guys. I really wanted to play it. I was getting ready to play it last night, and then I thought, well, I don't know how long this cutscene's going to take, and I kind of have to go to work tomorrow. I don't want to be up all night playing it, so I stopped. And now I'm really wanting to play it again, but I'm also thinking that I should save it for you guys so you can watch me go and die repeatedly. I don't normally play games like Far Cry. I'm not really an action-y gamer. Oh, excuse me, that was a grody sniff. But I'm not really an action-y gamer. However, I really liked the premise behind Far Cry 5. If you don't know the premise behind Far Cry 5, I'm not going to go into it. You go look it up. But I thought it'd be really fun, a really fun game to play, and a really fun game to stream. I just have to make the decision on whether or not I'm going to use Xboxes, because I do have it for the Xbox. Xboxes in-system Twitch streamer, or if I'm going to crack out the my Razer for it. I have a external streaming in-action gamer. I'm totally an in-action gamer. I'm a sleep gamer. I just lay there. No, I tend to prefer games that don't require split-second reaction times. That aren't really reflex-driven or do require me to, like, hear things well. Oh, that was another thing that I was not happy with during the opening, and I have to go look and see if there's a possible way to get into settings, because I never saw an option for settings from the beginning. I'm going to go into a brief overview on the very beginning of the game when I launched it. First thing it does is it comes up with a female and a male silhouette, and they ask you to choose one, and they give you the warning that this cannot be changed ever. So that makes me question whether or not you can have multiple states of save in this game, or multiple playthroughs, because that's kind of really restricting. I'm one of those people who likes to go through and play and do different options every time I play. But then again, I've never played a Far Cry game, so I don't really. They've never looked like my kind of game, so I don't really know if this is standard for a Far Cry game. Luckily, I do have an alternate Xbox account that I could go and play it there on too, if it does prove to be where I can't do a completely separate save state or something. But so it gave me that selection. I made my selection, and then it immediately took me into a cutscene, and there was no settings options anywhere that I saw. Maybe I just missed it because I was not 100% awake when I started playing it yesterday. I'm sleepy a lot. I'm sorry, guys. This happens. But when the cutscene or opening scene started, I'm gonna call it the cold open. When the cold open started, threw me right into the game. There were no captions. There were no subtitles, and being hard of hearing, I was having trouble following along with what people were saying. I hadn't had a chance to grab my headset and put it on, so I didn't have, those audio cues. But that's something that kind of irks me in video games, when there's no option for subtitles, because, being hearing impaired, that just feels very inaccessible to me. However, I do really want to play this game because of the premise to it, and I want to share it with you guys, and if I do that, I will probably do that this weekend at some point for a few hours. There's also a co-op, or a co-op option. I keep saying multiplayer, and people think of multiplayer as being like a whole bunch of strangers that just get together and play, whereas opposed to this is co-op, where it's like you and maybe up to two or three others can get in there. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really played it yet. ESOs has subtitles, yes. Elder Scrolls Online definitely has subtitles. Had to track that down when I was setting that up and making my characters for that. So, anywho, is there any other quickie topic you guys want me to talk about? Because otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up, and I'm going to go back to napping, because I'm still sleepy. And sleepy SD tends to be cranky SD. And you won't like me when I'm cranky. Yes, no, I'm about to yawn and just completely blow up my microphone. I'm sorry. Talk more. No. I want sleep. I need sleep. Okay, things I'm gonna throw out real quick. RitScrib has another, Indiegogo campaign running. Definitely go check that out if you haven't checked out RitScrib already. Check out RitScrib itself, ritscrib.com, WRITSCRIB.com. Not RightScribe or any other variation. RitScrib. It's free. It's a free site. There are some premium features you can get, like if you want a fancy colored username, stuff like that. But it is in beta, and it still has quirks, and it's not 100% functional yet. So yeah, check that out. I'm working on Edible Alchemy. I'm going to be approaching some artists. Ah, crap, I forgot that I was supposed to be working on something for that today. I'm going to be approaching some artists tomorrow to do drawings for it, for the more elaborate versions, so that'll be a thing. I think that's all that's coming up in the next week, guys. Folks, I'm gonna go! I love you all. Be nice, be good. I will talk to you. I normally say talk to you tomorrow. That's my habit, because I used to do a daily vlog on YouTube. I don't do that anymore, because I'm lazy. and I'm too sleepy to do it. But, bye!